Hey guys, 14 Fluffies here. Are you tired of hands like this? Tired of always bricking? Well, today we will be talking about the best ways to play through the worst hands. And this can range from hands that are just borderline unplayable, not, like, this is an exaggeration, obviously. Like, if you have triple malicious, just always scoop, but this ranges from stuff like having a decent starter with very few good extenders, maybe even no good extenders, maybe just a mediocre extender and trying to make the best out of that. Or we're approaching like the field of like double mally or double increase in hand and stuff like that. This can range from all kinds of things, and my build in particular is kind of tailored to have as few of those hands as possible. Evil hero builds might have that more often because the Duster Gold doesn't really do much by itself besides add Dark Calling. It can't really unclog hands. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The Evil Hero engine is still outstanding, and I would always recommend using it, just because it helps you with the OTKs and it clears things like Nibiru tokens and stuff like that. But either way, yeah. For the first part of the discussion, we'll talk about things that... Well, let's talk about hands that are that are very much so playable and capable of accomplishing things, but aren't really optimal. And this is really just more from the perspective of going second, so keep that in mind. So since we're going second, we'll be having 6 cards in hand to play with normally. We won't care about getting Dark Law onto the board, so that means we won't have to... That means we won't need things like... We won't need the Solid Soldier to get Shadow Mist from the graveyard, or just the summon Shadow Mist from hand. And another thing is just, these plays will also largely rely on not having access to Stratos, so keep that in mind. So, as far as, starting off, as far as the best way to play with a hand that looks like this, as far as having double Mally, or either double increase, I mean, yeah, it's, as far as having double Mally is concerned, just having access to Ferris makes this completely playable, whether it be through, one, having Stratos, or any of the other ways of accessing Stratos, you know. So yeah, I mean, realistically, because you have all these ways of getting to Ferris, opening double Mally should still be completely playable, just because you will always have a way to access Ferris. Well, in most of the cases. So yeah, even if you have to burn your normal summon on Stratos just to be able to get the Ferris to discard the Mally, that's fine. It's just a means to an end. And as far as having double increase is a little bit more difficult, because if you have the double increase, you won't be able to really use Ferris, because you won't be able to get the Vion from deck from the increase, since you won't be able to set increase with Ferris if you don't have any in your deck, because you drew them. So yeah, that is a little bit more tricky. You will have to rely way more on your Destiny Hero engine and the E-Hero engine just to be able to kind of make up for the fact you are essentially locked out of your Vision Hero engine. If you're able to get these into the graveyard, that's still really good. Cards like Polymerization are really good at unbricking hands, just because they let you get dead cards out. Having these in the graveyard, even if you can't get them out of deck for Ferris, is still really good, because you can still set them back. You can still set them from your graveyard and then use them during your opponent's turn, and you play on your opponent's turn with them. Sure, it's not that great, but it's still a thing that can happen. So yeah, and this is the reason now you should always prioritize on not forgetting about increase, because it's one thing I do frequently even still. So yeah, it's worth mentioning. Yeah, and there are some other suboptimal plays that can really still get you to a win condition. I mean, in my opinion, the kind of like staple win condition for this deck should honestly just be Trinity. Should be Trinity plus an Honest Neos. That right there is your win condition in and of itself. And if there are times where you can make Trinity, but you don't, but if your opponent doesn't have monsters, and you could instead just go for Adoration plus Dread Decimator most of the time anyway, so you'll still have a backup strategy, plus the boosted damage from Dread Decimator. Having the Honest Neos in hand is going to be game anyway, so if they have an open board, you go for that and you have game. So yeah, it's still very much so possible to easily reach that win condition of having big damage in OTK, even without an optimal hand. And I will be kind of showcasing some hands that are like that. They'll have varying degrees of usefulness, but I feel like the first most helpful hand to discuss would actually be Cross Crusader plus Vion. So in order to, I'm going to play out this hand real quick. This isn't a combo video per se, but this will kind of showcase what I'm trying to say, because this will get you to Trinity plus Honest Neos in hand. So you start off with this. You'll go Vion, and instead of sending Malicious, you will actually be sending Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist will add Malicious, at which point you will... Yeah, Shadow Mist adds Malicious to hand, banish Shadow Mist, add Poly. You will specifically need Polymerization for this, and here's why. Because of the fact that you have Malicious in hand, you need to get it out of your hand for the Fusion Summon. So, yes, this is important. And now at that point, no, the play was kind of backwards. You want to send Malicious first, and then go Malicious, summon Malicious. Link off Solid Soldier Mally for Cross Crusader. Link off the Vion plus Mally for the Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader summon Mally. And at that point, you will add Shadow Mist and then go Fusion Summon these for Trinity. Shadow Mist activates in the next chain and adds Honest Neos. And that's how you would play out that hand. So yeah, that's kind of like a quick... Yeah, that's one way to get to Trinity plus Honest Neos. And with additional damage, you still have an extra Mally in your graveyard that you have to play with. Actually, you haven't used any of the Mallies, so you have that to play with as well. And so yeah, that's really just more if they have Nibiru. But you won't have Fusion Sub for that. It is what it is there. And this play honestly gets a whole lot better if you have Mash Change with it, because that will let you, because that's your Deanne play. You go... Solid Soldier, Vion, do the exact same thing I just did, and do the exact same thing I just did with that, and then you would mash change the Cross Solid Soldier. Sorry, I got tripped up on my words there. For Deanne, Solid Soldier will trigger summoning Shadow Mist from the graveyard, because you want to send Shadow Mist to get the extra mash change search, and then you'll go to your battle phase and then do all kinds of battle phase shenanigans from there. Kind of basic, but it's something not to be overlooked. And other things, other combos would actually be Ferris plus any Destiny hero besides Plasma, really. We're gonna go, we all know that Ferris plus Mally is an OTK, but another variation would actually just be, if I could just pull it up, okay. Ferris plus, for this example, Draw Hand, because we'll get an extra draw from Draw Hand. It'll just be more optimal. So this is an OTK. So we will start off by activating Ferris, pitch the Draw Hand, summon. And we will set our increase. Increase effect, tribute Ferris, special summon. Effect of increase, special summon Vion. Vion effect will send Malicious. Send Malicious, and now we will activate the effect of Vion. Banish Ferris from graveyard to add Polymerization. I believe Fusion Substitute will work here as well, but if you're having suboptimal hands, Polymerization is the much safer choice to go for, just because you want to be able to ensure that you're able to get the proper Fusion Summon off. So there is that. And now what we will do is link off the two Vision Heroes for Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader will activate, and we will special summon out Draw Hand. Draw Hand is the only Destiny hero that you play that actually has an effect in the graveyard, so keep that in mind. And it's very good, so we will draw a card. This is a really good card to draw, but we're not going to use it just for the sake of this combo, so it's just an additional card in hand. And at this point, just pray that your opponent doesn't draw Nibiru. Use the effect of Cross Crusader, tribute the Draw Hand because we want it back in the graveyard. So now we can add our copy of Ferris. No, we've already used Ferris. So at that point, we actually want to add the Honest Neos. Oh, actually, no, that was a misplay. Yeah, you actually want to go Mally. My bad. You want to go Mally for Mally. Use Cross Crusader to tribute Mally, add the Honest Neos, and then go Mally for that, and then Polymerization for Trinity with that. This is all just gonna be done in one take. It's gonna be kind of sloppy, but it is what it is. So yeah, now with that done, you have your win condition of this. You have this extra card in hand. So yeah, that's another example. Really, one thing I've found while in testing is that draw hand and fusion sub really help fix a lot of suboptimal openings through testing and just playing through the game. Cross Crusader makes it really, really good because you can get it from your graveyard immediately during your turn and put it back in the graveyard for link plays, distributing it to search more cards, stuff like that. There are other kind of shitty plays like Cross Crusader. Solid Soldier for Shadow Mist to add mass change. That's kind of like the very, very worst. That's still playable. Vion, another interesting combo that I found was a Vion plus Malicious in hand. So Malicious plus Vion. If I can just find it in the deck. Okay, so Malicious plus Vion. This gets you to the same result, really. Go Vion. You use Vion to send Shadow Mist to graveyard. Shadow Mist will add Ferris. And now you will go Vion banish Shadow Mist to add Polymerization or Fusion Substitute. You're going to be getting two Fusion searches for Vion this turn, so you'll be adding both if you're playing multiple copies like me. So we will then go Ferris, activate, discard Malicious, have it on screen, and then we will set increase, increase tribute the Vion, because we want to have, it honestly doesn't matter, just go increase tribute Vion to summon our second Vion from deck. We just find it. Yeah, summon our second Vion. And now we will use the effect of Vion to banish our first Vion from the graveyard to add our second fusion spell, Fusion Substitute. At this point, we will then link off the Vion and the increase for Cross Crusader. Yeah, nothing too shocking there. Go Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader special summon Malicious from the graveyard. We'll use the effect Tribute Malicious to add our Honest Neos. And then we will go Mally Banish to summon our second Malicious. At which point we can now go for Trinity and have another Malicious in the graveyard. So since we have our materials on field, Fusion Sub those away for Trinity with Honest Neos in hand. If your opponent has the Bureau, we have the Fusion Sub to put Trinity back to the extra deck and draw a card. So yeah, kind of stuff like that. There are a lot of ways to get to your win condition that less adept pilots of this deck may not realize they can access. So hopefully this kind of educates some of you. This is a video that I had a kind of a difficult time trying to grasp, because I wanted to try and be as informative as possible while also keeping the plays as practical as possible. There are obviously a lot more possibilities you can achieve with this if you have the evil heroes, because you'll have an additional extender that does other things. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you guys like this content at all, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Special shout out to Ruggles for leaving a comment on my last video. Thank you very much. And I will see you guys all in the next video.